Carlton fans are walking a tightrope of nerves.
Higgins step, it's bending back, it's a goal! It's a goal! Higgins has kicked the goal! He's got the goal! Carlton are out of the finals! And is it over? Is it over?
It's out of your control now, Vossi. Unbelievable.
Oh, unbelievable.
Unbelievable scenes here.
Oh my gosh.
Marvel Stadium is stunned. Siren! The sinking feeling of despair.
Emotions after that one.
Yeah, I've just spent 30 minutes trying to think about that. No, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I don't feel like we certainly lost that game on heart, that's for sure. We lost it in moments.
It's picked up and driven forward for the Saints. Akers up, can't take the mark. Spilling ball, Dow, Jones, Higgins swings it around the corner. Edworth, Edworth through. It's a goal. It is a goal. And the Saints are in front.
Sinclair, Jones, it's going to go to Higgins, who has a snap around the body. It's going to go close. Oh no! Oh no! The goal has been kicked by Jack Higgins.
Frantic stuff. Jones throws it out. Higgins around the body. Hooking. Goal. He's kicked the goal.
It's coming back. I think it's there. Jack Higgins. What a goal to put the Saints in front as he charges to the wing to celebrate.
These were the scenes when the Saints defeated Carlton to keep Fremantle's season alive. Gosh, the celebrations were gold. What is going through the mind of Justin Longmuir? He knows the equation. Everyone knows the equation. Win and they are in.
We approached it with we had to win. And I think the only way we can practice for what's next is to have been in a really hostile environment.
And you can just imagine the reaction around the country from Carlton fans. It's Rioli! Where there's Willie, there's always a way! Poor kick clear. Wherever you've been hibernating, Carlton fans, the bedroom, the shed, out the back, come out, you've got to watch this. And the team in Teal have been on a tear. Poured power into the top two as Freo falter at the finish. Carlton fall into the finals as the closest, craziest ever home and away season reaches its conclusion. Bring on the finals.
Got any mates who support Carlton? Because you just did them a massive favour.
I grew up a Carlton supporter, so there's a little soft side in my heart for them. Been a bit of an emotional roller coaster today, which you don't try and ride in footy too much, but watching it as a spectator was a bit different for sure.
They have been tormented all day.
The heartbreak and then the reprieve for Carlton. The 8 is set. We wait till Thursday week when it will begin at Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide and Geelong. He couldn't have scripted it any better, really, if you believe these things are all orchestrated. He's been the master, puppet master. Andrew Dillon, welcome to AFL 360.
Good to be here, Jared, Jordan.
Hey, this time every week we play a bit of snakes and ladders. Probably the live ladder did a little bit more than the snakes and ladders in the end. It'll look in the box score like it was all very stable. It didn't feel that way across the course of the weekend. Do you have any Carlton fans? Any Carlton friends?
Yeah, I do. Sort of the WhatsApp groups were going crazy a bit, including one of them who'd gone onto Amazon to get a Port Adelaide same-day delivery scarf. So it was, it would have been a roller coaster for them, and it was amazing watching it, as you say, amazing theatre. Made all the better by the incredible players that we've got, and people like Jack Higgins standing up at an amazing time.
You wouldn't have believed you could pack that much drama into the climax, would you?
No, I think if you scripted it, people would say that wouldn't work. They wouldn't believe it.
Yes, it was.
Could it be goal of the? Would it be a goal of the year contender, Jared? The Higgins goal?
He probably kicked a better one in the Collingwood game from outside the boundary.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
It was one of the best, and that it would happen in such a way, and that it would happen to those Carlton fans who lived through the Jamie Elliott moment 2 years earlier, and then they have to sort of try to comprehend it. I wondered who would have the stomach for it. I liked Hutto's sentiment is go and hide in the shed or the garden out in the storm. And could you really put yourself through what was going to happen in the West?
Yeah, it would have been tough for them, but you know, it's a long season, and you know, and now the Blues are ready for a big final Saturday week.
An ugly incident over the weekend that's been well documented. I'm not too sure what you can say or where the investigation has been. The bottle that's been thrown at the umpire. Where does that sit as we speak?
Well, first of all, I spoke to umpire Steve Paperno this morning, and you know, first of all, he's okay, and he'll be umpiring in the finals. He's one of our best goal umpires. It's something that we don't want to, haven't seen it before, and certainly don't want to see it again. It's in the hands of the police at the moment, and when the police finish their investigation, that'll be dealt with there. And then, you know, people who do things like that, they don't deserve the privilege of coming to AFL games, and I think you'll see a sanction from the AFL similar with that.
So, pretty straightforward life ban.
Very simple.
Yeah. How unsettled was Steve?
He was in a pretty good shape today, but I think, you know, he's at work doing a great job, and for that to happen is just completely unacceptable. And it's something that hasn't ever been part of our game, and it's certainly not going to become one. And you know, as I said, it's with the police, and they will deal with it, and then it'll come to the AFL in the stadium. So
what do you know from the police so far? Have they identified the person?
I understand that they've identified the person, and as I said, it's with them at the moment.
Yep. And so you let them run their course before you step in?
That's right.
Do you have any indication whether they will be prepared to lay charges?
Oh, look, I haven't got into that detail with the police, because that's you know, it's ultimately it's their decision how they deal with that, and then we've got our terms and conditions of entry and how we'll deal with it at the time, and it'll be at the appropriate time, and it will be an appropriate sanction for behaviour like that.
The shape of the final series. So there were a few different possibilities, and it feels like there's been a little bit of angst associated with it. So were the Bulldogs disappointed to get Friday night in a perverse way?
Look, I've spoken to most of the clubs today, and I don't think anyone's disappointed to be in the finals. And you know, our fixturing team do an incredible job. And as we were talking before, the way that round 24 landed, as you say, you couldn't have scripted it. So, but what the team take into account is attendance, broadcast, days breaks, what's week 2 and what's week 3 going to look like, and ultimately, we also consult with the clubs and the venues. As we're doing that, clubs have a view on what's best, but I think when it's all said and done, they're really happy to be there.
So why was the Bulldogs Hawthorn the right fit for Friday night?
Well, I think when we get to Friday week and we've got close to 90,000 people at the MCG, we'll know that was the right fit. But it also then plays into how, them coming 6th and 7th, and they'll play the loser of 2v3, so sort of days breaks are also important going into week 2 and week 3. And if you've played finals before, you know how important the days breaks are. Yeah,
so that would take, it would hold more weight in terms of the next week when you potentially plays, rather than where you finish on the ladder. Because I think if I'm Sydney, I'd love to be playing Friday night, maybe have the weekend off, longer days to recover, rather than playing on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, look, again, and that was a number of conversations with Tom, but they're all in for Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a cracking game with GWS. GWS haven't been around for that long, but there's a bit of a storied finals history between the two Sydney teams, and I think it'll be the 3rd time that they meet in a final, and it'll be a big game.
Are there enough advantages for the minor premier, do you think, Andrew?
Look, as the minor premier, you get the home final, you get the double chance, and also the way that we have structured it is that if you win that first final, you do get the Friday prelim going into the grand final and get that extra day's break, which at the end of a gruelling season and then a tough finals campaign, I think, again, that's how it sits for the minor premier.
It feels like in this instance, so the home final is negated because it's an opponent from within their own state. They both have the double chance. The only way to give Sydney an advantage was to schedule them for the longest possible break, which would have been to play them on either the Thursday night or the Friday night.
Yeah, I'm not sure that necessarily follows, because you're talking about if they win that game, you've got another week in between, so you're talking a 13 or 14 day break, and I think once you get to that level, I think it sort of negates itself.
There's probably a lot of things on your plate at the moment. The review of the season, the feeling from a lot of people is the length of the season. Is that something that you're willing to review after? Do you think it's too long as it currently sits, and the inclusion of the wildcard round, if that was to come in, where do you sit on on that?
If we look at the home and away season of the 23 rounds, including gather round, and that is something that we've got for next year and the year after with our agreement with the South Australian Government, and gather round has been an unqualified success. And I think having an extra double matchup actually helps for when you're sort of like balancing out the fixture where you're not playing everyone twice. So I think we've got it at the right stage now, but when Tassie comes in 2028, when we go to a 19th team, you've got an uneven number of teams. The math says you have to play an even number of games. So that will be a point in time in 2028 when we look to that. In relation to the wild card, it's a tantalising possibility, but it is something that has a lot of work would have to go into that. Now, if you look at how the ladder fits now, and we'd be sitting this weekend with, I think, the Hawks playing Fremantle and Carlton playing Collingwood. It'd be a huge weekend, but the final eight also has been in place for a while. It's served the competition very well. So we had a conversation with the CEOs in the middle of the year. It came up as something that deserves further investigation, and that's incumbent on the AFL to look at that. But we take into account feedback from broadcasters, venues, and most importantly, our clubs and our players.
So what would be a reason to do it?
Well, I think one of the reasons would be, from a broadcaster point of view, on a weekend, this weekend, where we've got 9 games of AFLW, some men's content on this weekend, I think that would be of interest to the broadcasters. I think to Collingwood and Fremantle fans at the moment, I think that would also be of interest to them as well. It might take the interest in the home and away season a little bit longer with more teams being involved. And then there's, if you're looking at downsides, we've got a final eight that has stood the test of time. It is a long season already and the like. So, as I said, there's a lot to go into it, and it wouldn't be a rush decision to bring that in.
We were all worried by dead rubber syndrome over the last, or particularly on the Friday, Saturday, but even back a couple of weeks. Does it bother you that teams' season lose hope a fair way out the way that things sit?
Look, you can say that, and then you look at the St Kilda team who, you know, ultimately you could say they didn't have anything to play for. It didn't look like that to me when I was, you know, and you only have to look at the way the St Kilda players celebrated after, the way the fans did that. I think going back a few weeks before that, when the West Coast played North Melbourne down at Blundstone Arena, and the way the fans and the West Coast players celebrated that win, I think that there's something riding on every game, and you know, I just think, you know, it's such a privilege, and the players who are playing, they've all got something to play for. So I think, yeah, look, it's a long season, and some of the games on the weekend probably weren't as close as we would have liked, but I think overall it's working pretty well.
Is the week off still necessary this weekend?
Yeah, well, when we say the week off, we've got 9 AFLW games, but I think what that has allowed us to have since it's come in, it allows for from a scheduling point of view to have a Thursday night final, which I think is a bit of a fan favourite. I think it also allows the teams that have made the 8 to take stock and really set themselves for a finals campaign. And since it came in 2016, we've also seen incredible attendances at all of the finals. So at the moment, I don't see any reason to change that.